Alright, good morning to those in the Philippines as well as parts of Vietnam and the rest of Southeastern Asia. We will be discussing Tropical Storm, or what is now Typhoon Kalmaegi, also known as Tino in the Philippines. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. We are very close to reaching 5,000 subscribers, just 300 away, just a little bit under that. Before I get started, I'm going to be sharing this stream on other social media platforms, and then we will get right into it. Again, there is also going to be another system we will be discussing a little bit, Invest 90W, which will be threatening parts of the Philippines potentially within a week or so. But our main focus today will be on Kalmaegi. Alright, hi Dark Steve, hi Typhoon Lover, hi David, and hi Kevin. Let's get right into it, okay? If you guys have any questions, you can leave them in the live chat and I will answer them towards the later part of the live stream. So let's get right into it. Here's a look at the forecast track. It is currently a high-end Category 1, maybe even a low-end Category 2 at this time, and it is expected to rapidly intensify to a Category 3 or Category 4 strength system. This point in the forecast cone is right in between the two. It's around high-end Category 3, nearly Category 4, and it will be making landfall sometime tonight and overnight. By the time it slams into the Philippines, looks like it's going to be slamming into Leyte or farther northern Caraga, mainly around Dinagat Island. Then after that, it's going to be plowing through central Visayas as potentially still a major typhoon. It will then weaken down to a Category 1 typhoon by the time it's roaring through the Negros Island region, and then also the western Visayas region. Mimaropa, it will still be a typhoon at that point, and then when it enters the South China Sea, it will gradually, potentially rapidly intensify. We are forecasting a Category 2 peak, maybe even a Category 3 by the time it slams into Vietnam. It will then weaken to a tropical storm over southern Laos and then a remnant low over Thailand by day 5. So we are going to be tracking the system for an additional 5 days. It's not over yet, and it's not going to be over by the time it's not going to be over after it impacts the Philippines. Those in Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, all those areas also need to be watching the system, even in Hainan Island. So let's discuss the impacts, the threat level of impacts over the next 5 days. So it does include nearly the entirety of the Philippines, minus the southeastern portions of Mindanao, and it does also exclude portions of far northwestern Philippines, and the Batanes Islands are not included in that marginal risk. Besides that, it does also include a majority of Hainan Island, a majority of Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, and Cambodia in that marginal risk of impacts. A majority of this is going to be in the form of rainfall. Now, stepping it up to the slight impacts, that does include a corridor for parts of the Philippines here. That does include far northern Caraga, the entirety of eastern Visayas. It does include the Bicol region, and does include eastern central Luzon and southeastern Cagayan Valley in that slight risk of impacts. It does include Calabarzon, I don't know, Calabarzon, I believe. That might be how you pronounce it. I probably butchered that. My apologies. And it does also include the entirety of, majority of Mimaropa and western Visayas, the Negros Island region, and central Visayas, and of course eastern Visayas in that region as well. It does also include the southeastern portions of Hainan Island, a majority of Vietnam, portions of southern Laos, eastern Thailand, and northeastern Cambodia in that slight category. Now, moving it up to the moderate impacts, what areas are expected to see moderate impacts? It does include the coast of northern Samar and eastern Samar, as they could see some high storm surge up to 2 to 3 meters is being forecasted for you there. And also does include a large portion of Leyte, nearly the entirety of central Visayas, the northern portions of the Negros Island region, as well as the southern portions of western Visayas. Does include a northern portions of Mimaropa, and then it also does include a portion of Vietnam and eastern Laos there in that moderate category. Now, stepping it up to the possibility of major impacts, that does include a corridor wherever the system is going to be moving through. There could be dangerous flash flooding, with some areas seeing potentially up to 400 millimeters of rain. It all depends on what local areas see those high rainfall totals. There is also an area in portions of Vietnam, again, for flash flooding. There could be prolonged flooding in these regions, and some of these areas have already seen devastating flooding from just normal thunderstorms, really. So these areas are very saturated, and they could be seeing major impacts when this system rolls through. We'll have more confidence on the coming days for you all in Southeastern Asia. But right now, let's focus on the major impacts that will be occurring in the Philippines. This major impact zone does include southern portions of eastern Visayas, so that does include portions of eastern Samar and Samar. It does include a large chunk of Leyte and the entirety of southern Leyte in that major impact category. It does include Dinagat Island and far northern Caraga in that major impact category. Alright. Now, let's discuss the broad view of tropics right now, since there's less going on, fortunately, but there is still two major threats we're going to be needing to watch out for. We have the remnants of Melissa, which are speeding off towards the northeast, expected to dissipate over the next 2 days. Winds are currently around 50 miles an hour for that system. Looking in the western Pacific, we of course have Typhoon Kalmaegi, also known as Tino, in the Philippines. That system is going to be roaring through the Philippines and then impacting portions of southeastern Asia, including Vietnam, as a powerful typhoon. After that, though, we have another disturbance we need to be watching. Invest 90W. This thing has a 90% chance of tropical development over the next 7 days. The consensus has it becoming a Category 3 or 4 major typhoon by the time it nears the Philippines. We'll have a lot of time to watch this, but unfortunately things are looking worse and worse. Again, there will be more updates over the coming days. Looking at the North Indian Ocean, we have a disturbance here now down to a 20% chance of tropical development as it meanders around Myanmar. We are currently let me pull this up. We are currently code purple, the highest code level for Typhoon Kalmaegi, and we are also code orange now for Invest 90W. That will likely be upgraded in the coming days. Alright, now if you haven't already, please consider following me on one of these social media platforms. X on @Hurricane_Chase, Instagram @HurricaneChaserChase, Cyclone Tracking on Facebook and Blue Sky, and you can join the Discord server, discord.gg/chasestorm. Now let's get into the satellite imagery on this storm. You can see vertical heat towers, these convective bursts continue to fire around it's around the eye there, and you can start to see it vaguely clear up in this latest imagery here. So you can see it is continuing to increase in organization, and it could be rapidly intensifying at this time. Unfortunately, the system will be plowing towards the Philippines within the next 18 hours or so. Thankfully, though, it is going to be running out of time. Unfortunately, though, we're not quite sure as to how much the system will try to intensify before it makes that landfall. In terms of infrared imagery, we can see if that eye is starting to clear out. It's a little bit vague there. You can somewhat see the eye starting to clear out there. It does have a core on microwave imagery, and it is going to be trying to stack that eye vertically. So we could see an eye clear out by the time it makes the landfall. I would be expecting that. Now, why is it intensifying so much? Well, the sea surface temperatures are very warm, 30 to 31 degrees Celsius, all the way up until landfall in the Philippines. Looking at the rest of the environment, though, shear is very low right now. It's dipping down quite a bit. It is expected to increase over the coming day or so before spiking out by the time it reaches the South China Sea, a little bit higher there. In terms of sea surface temperatures, not going to be a problem up until the Philippines. Afterwards, though, temperatures will begin to cool down. In terms of relative humidity, dry air is not going to be a problem over the next week or so as it traverses the South China Sea. Now, let's take a look at the distances from certain areas in the Philippines. In terms of that's in kilometers, yes. Tacloban, it's around 380 kilometers away from you there. In terms of Surigao City, it's around 325 kilometers from you there. Dinagat Island, it's around 250 kilometers away, and that's Dinagat Island right here, my bad. Around 300 kilometers away from you there. In terms of southern Leyte, it's around 340 kilometers away. Leyte, again, around 370 kilometers away. Eastern Samar, around 280. Cebu City looks to be around 485 kilometers away from you there. Looking at portions of northern Mindanao, roughly 400 kilometers. In terms of central Visayas, around 470. The Negros Island region looks to be around 550, and western Visayas is around 580 kilometers away. In terms of Metro Manila, it's pretty far away, 930 kilometers away. You could still see marginal impacts from the system, and it looks like Palawan is around 950 kilometers away. Portions of Vietnam are now down to 2,200 kilometers away, and Hainan Island's around the same amount for you there. Laos is around 2,300 kilometers away, and Thailand's now down to 2,600 kilometers away. All those places will need to be continuing to watch the system over the coming days. First, it has to go through the Philippines, and then it will be going towards southeastern Asia. Did want to note, though, that you can see a very nice shrimp-like structure on the storm, which does show that it does have a nice banding feature on the western side. It is primed for rapid intensification, unfortunately. The good news is, though, again, it will be running out of time. All right. Now, looking at the models, I did want to discuss the high-resolution models on Kalmaegi first, and then we'll look at 90W on those models. So the HWRF model run doesn't have it intensifying too much before landfall, but it does have it intensifying a lot more by the time it makes landfall in Vietnam. Looks like a Category 3 landfall there in eastern Vietnam. Going now to the HAFS A model run and what it wants, I believe this has uptrend a little bit here. It does show it intensifying quite a bit before landfall there, making landfall as a Category 3. Does weaken as it crosses areas around Mimaropa, and then by the time it enters the South China Sea, it does quickly intensify to a major typhoon and makes landfall at that intensity. This would be around Thursday night, overnight Thursday into Friday by the time it makes landfall in Vietnam, and then quickly weakens by the time it reaches Thailand. Now, I did want to discuss the other model runs and what they're thinking about this next system, 90W here. This is a look at the European run and what it wants. Over the next 7 days or 6 days, it doesn't really become anything too severe. But if we look at the previous model run there, again, nothing too severe, at least on this model run. If we take a look at the American run and what it wants the system to be rolling through Guam as a potential typhoon over the next 3 days or so. This system is likely overdoing how quickly it develops. It does become a Category 5, though, in the Philippine Sea. Slams into Luzon there as a Category 5 within the next 8 days before rolling into the South China Sea, still as a typhoon. Beyond that, though, it's a little bit inaccurate to forecast that far out. Looking at the latest Canadian run, it does roll through Guam there in the Northern Mariana Islands as a strong tropical storm. It does become a powerful typhoon and nears very close to the northern Philippines within the next 8 days or so, and it does eventually slam into Taiwan, still as a major typhoon. Before then, it weakens over Taiwan. Looking at the latest German run here, it does take a little while to organize, and we can look at the previous run and what it wanted there, the longer range run. It does have it becoming a powerful typhoon rolling closer and closer to the Philippines within the next 7 days. We can now take a look at the European ensembles and what they're thinking the system will go. Pretty much every member wants it to become a tropical cyclone, and a majority of them have it becoming a typhoon or even major typhoon. You can see a lot of these members do head towards northern Luzon, and some of them, though, also curve out to sea. So again, it is a quite uncertain forecast as to just figuring out where the system will go. Looking at the latest American ensembles here, they should be a little bit more bullish than the European ensembles there. Does have it slamming into northern Luzon over the next 8 days there. But some of those members, again, we're hoping these members verify, the ones that have it curving out to sea. You can see that on here where some of them curve out to sea, but some of them do, a majority of them head towards the Philippines, unfortunately. Pulling up the European AI model, it does have the system rolling close to the Philippines. It does impact the Ryukyu Islands and speeds off just to the south of Japan. We'd hope this verifies, but unfortunately this does slam into Alaska as a powerful post-tropical cyclone, and we've seen what's happened before when systems do that in the Alaska. Alright, now I will pull up some of the rainfall totals here that could be falling across portions of the Philippines. Let me pull this out to 7 days. Alright, so some portions of the Philippines, wherever the corridor of the system goes, will be seeing the most amount of rain. Some areas here could see 400 to 500 millimeters of rain. Again, it's where that tight corridor goes through. Wherever those strongest winds, the eye wall passes through, the center of the storm passes through, is where you could see the highest amount of rainfall. Again, it's quite uncertain, so that's why the area is highlighted for the possibility of major impacts, as there could be spots with lower rainfall totals. Some areas here, as you can see, Tacloban only getting 50 millimeters of rain, but if you just go farther to the south, you could see up to 300 millimeters of rain. So that's why it's quite uncertain. The American run does show that corridor a little bit more to the south there, with rainfall totals of up to 300 to 400 millimeters of rain. Portions of Vietnam get those same rainfall totals. Looking at the German run, it's the same story, but a little bit farther to the north. Again, it's quite uncertain as to where this is going to be happening. Also, portions of Vietnam, they're getting a lot of rainfall, up to 500 millimeters of rain there in Dong Ha. Alright, now looking at the latest Joint Typhoon Warning Center forecast, they did have it as just below a severe tropical storm, and they have updated it to a typhoon as their latest update. It does have it rolling through the Philippines as a powerful typhoon, enters the South China Sea as a major typhoon, and slams into Vietnam as a Category 3. Did want to pull up the Google AI ensemble members and what they're forecasting. So in terms of timing, the earliest landfall timing seems to be around Monday evening into Monday nights. The consensus does have it rolling through just north of the Dinagat Islands there. as a powerful Category 4, rolls through Leyte and southern Leyte as a Category 3 or 4, before then rolling through central Visayas, the Negros Island region, and western Visayas. Does then roll through Palawan as a Category 1 strength system before intensifying again to a Category 3 or 4 by the time it reaches portions of Vietnam. It does. Some of these members do have it weakening, unfortunately, before it slams into Vietnam. Now let's look at the next system that we're going to be having to worry about here. Every single ensemble member, I believe, does have it becoming a tropical cyclone. Yes, every single one does, and every single ensemble member has it becoming a typhoon. I believe almost every single ensemble member has it becoming a Category 2 or 3. Majority of these have it becoming a Category 4. That's why the consensus is a powerful Category 4 typhoon by the time it nears the Philippines. Thankfully, the consensus over the next 7 to 10 days does have it curving off towards the north, but around half of the ensemble members do have a direct hit in Luzon. So that's why you need to be paying attention to this if you live in northern Luzon. Even the Bicol region needs to be paying attention to this system. And then again, Taiwan and the Ryukyu Islands, the Sakishima Islands, also need to be watching the system, as it could be curving towards you there. It is interesting to see models like the American and Canadian gun it towards the north, towards Guam, before curving to the west. I don't really think that's going to happen. I think those are overdoing how quickly it intensifies and organizes. Alright, now let's answer some questions on the system here. Yes, 4.7 thousand subscribers. Guys, thank you all so much for that. We are closing in on 5,000. So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Let's see if we can gain a subscriber this live stream. If you haven't already, this helps out a lot, and it helps keep you up to date. And yes, the storm is making a run for rapid intensification. Again, this could become a Category 3 or 4 by the time it makes landfall somewhere around Leyte. See, it seems like yesterday they were on less than 2,000 subscribers. It's crazy. Yeah, thank you all so much for the support. I really do appreciate it. I was not expecting to gain this much traction recently. Let's see here. Calabarzon, thank you. Calabarzon. Calabarzon, thank you. High-end Category 4 is Super Typhoon. I've gotten questions about that. How much rainfall in Tacloban? Let's see here. Tacloban is expected to see around 90 millimeters of rain from the German run. The Access model, if it shows this region, shows up to around 50 millimeters of rain. The American run's around 80 millimeters of rain. The European's around 50 millimeters of rain. Seems like around 50 millimeters of rain, but that may change. Depending on if it goes more to the north, things like that. Will Benguet get affected? Let me check out where Benguet is real quick. In terms of impacts in Benguet, I'll pull that up on here. Benguet is not really expected to see impacts. Maybe the southern portions could see marginal impacts. Your main concern is going to be this next system after that, as some of these members do roll through Benguet as a major typhoon. This is going to be the system you'll want to be watching, and I will provide more updates on this system over the coming days. Let's see, how much rainfall in Cebu City? Let's discuss that. So Cebu City, in terms of the Access model, it went up to 150 millimeters of rain. The European runs around 150. American runs up to 250, and the Germans around 100. So I'd say 100 to 300 millimeters of rain are possible for you there in Cebu City. Cebu City could see the possibility of major impacts, it's looking like, unfortunately, for you there. Alright, what else? Question, is there a chance that Tino will be a Category 5 before landfall? I do have that up on here. I'm going to see if it's out just yet, if the newest model runs out. It's going to be on my laptop here, my other device. I'm going to check for you to see if what are the chances currently of it becoming a Category 5 before landfall. Just bear with me one moment, and I will run this code just to see. Let me see if the 18Z run is out now. It may be out, it may not be. Okay, it looks like it's out. Alright, I will pull up the percentage, or I'll let you all know the percentages of what it will become before landfall here. Okay, so the probabilities from the Google AI Ensemble members, and this is from, let me just double check this is correct. Yes, this is going to be November 2nd at 18 Zulu. So in terms of probabilities, there's a 10% chance it makes landfall as a Category 3 strength system, 100% chance it makes landfall at that intensity. In terms of Category 4, it's a 68% chance it makes landfall at that intensity, and a 22% chance that it makes landfall as a Category 5. So again, it looks like there's a 90% chance it could be making a landfall as a Category 4. Looks like Category 3 or 4 is the most likely scenario, but again, though, Category 4, it has a 68% chance of becoming that, and as you asked, a 22% chance of it becoming a Category 5 before landfall. I'm not liking those odds. Now, in terms of the consensus, this is something else I'd like to verify. What is the consensus at landfall? Let me see if I can run this. Okay, I'd appreciate it if it worked, please. Okay, I'll refresh. Oh, wait, I know why it wasn't. Okay, sorry about that. I'm looking at this off stream, and I will give you the information as to what is the consensus at landfall. What's it looking like? Just give you all access to this before it comes out. Okay, let me just type in this. Alright, so, okay. Landfall in the Philippines is predicting a Category 4, is the consensus there from the Google AI members. And it does have it slamming into Vietnam now as a Category 3 strength system, so that's becoming increasingly concerning for you there in Vietnam. But yeah, it looks like Google AI wants it as a Category 4 major typhoon as it plows into the Philippines there. Category 3 by the time it reaches Vietnam. Alright. Yes, there's a disturbance in the Eastern Pacific, but I have not marked that system. Alright. Yeah, what is the next animation? The next animation I will be releasing is going to be on Melissa. I plan to release that on November 9th at, let's see, I don't know what time it would be. It would be noon Eastern Standard Time now. I am doing the reanalysis. If you want to look at the reanalysis and what I think the peak might be, you can always join the Discord server, discord.gg/chasesstorm. That is where I'm doing the reanalysis on the system with a couple team members and a couple more advanced tropical weather enthusiasts here on trying to figure out just how strong was it at its peak. And we may be finding it, I may or may not be saying that we have potentially found it stronger than the National Hurricane Center has. We are finalizing that, and we will be discussing the peak tomorrow. As I know all of you want that system, or me to animate that system. Update, Pegasa has upgraded it into a Typhoon. Yeah, that would make sense. Alright. So again, it's looking pretty scary for those in the Philippines. You can see the ban is already impacting portions of... Oh, oops, I took down my map. Alright, portions of Caraga there, and also portions of Dinagat Islands, eastern Visayas, and central Visayas even getting some impacts from this band. We sometimes call this a death band there. It is pretty scary there. It always rolls right through the core, so it is rain or flood threats before the main core of the system rolls through. That's why we kind of call it a death band. It is associated with some powerful tropical cyclones, and we could see some very potent rapid intensification out of the system. Continuing to fire vertical heat towers there, convective bursts starting to clear out its eye. So again, all the signs you need for rapid intensification on this system. The only thing that's limiting it is a little bit of shear and time. Northern Bohol, you could be seeing, let's see, Northern Bohol, in terms of your impacts there, you are expected to see moderate impacts from this system as it rolls through your region there. How much rainfall in Cebu? Let's discuss that. In terms of rainfall in Cebu, the German run only wants 100 millimeters of rain. American wants up to 220 millimeters of rain. That's mainly the variation. So to really say anywhere from 100 to 300 millimeters of rain are going to be possible in Cebu City. I would be preparing for moderate impacts with the possibility of major impacts, as it could be dumping a tremendous amount of rain. 300 to 400 millimeters of rain cannot be ruled out, especially in more localized areas. It depends on where the core rolls through. And again, this band is already about to impact you, if it's not already, in portions of Cebu City. When does the 2025 North Atlantic hurricane season animation come out? I do release progress updates on my Instagram on that animation if you want to check that out. Again, you can follow me on my Instagram there to learn more updates about that. You can follow me there at Hurricane Chaser Chase. That I do post stories there that you can see my progress, and I have made a significant milestone in that animation today, working more on the Eastern Pacific. But yeah, you can follow me on there. Can you discuss the wind signals? Sure, thank you for reminding me of about that. When will the Melissa animation come out? That is expected to come out on November 9th. I haven't animated it just yet, as it's still ongoing right now as a post-tropical cyclone. Now let's discuss the signal warnings and effects now for the Philippines. Alright, so there are Signal 3 warnings in effect for the for Dinagat Islands there. In portions of southern eastern Samar, looks like there. Portions of southern Samar and southern eastern Samar in that Signal 2 warning. Leyte and southern Leyte also in that. Portions of northern Caraga are also in a Signal 2 warning. Central Visayas as well in that Signal 2 warning, and a much broader area now in Signal 1 warnings, including the rest of eastern Samar, or the eastern Visayas region, the southern Bicol region, portions of Mimaropa, the entirety of western Visayas, the entirety of the Negros Island region, as well as portions of northern Mindanao, all in that Signal 1 category. We will likely see these be upgraded, and I would be expecting Signal 4 warnings to be coming over the next several hours in portions of the Dinagat Islands. Also for portions of Leyte and southern Leyte, and really this whole corridor right here that could be seeing Signal 4 warnings be issued for you there. We will be seeing how quickly it intensifies before making landfall. Again, it's quite uncertain. Maybe there will be Signal 5 warnings, but that's a little bit, it's a little bit uncertain, again, as we're not quite sure as to how much the system will be rapidly intensifying before that landfall. Doesn't have much time. If it had another 24 hours, this would likely be a Category 5 at landfall, unfortunately, for portions of the Philippines. Fortunately, though, it is making landfall quicker than that, so it's going to be cutting off its fuel by the time it makes landfall there. How much storm surge? Let's discuss the storm surge impacts that the system will bring for portions of the Philippines. I will pull up their graphic. Areas could see above 3 meters of storm surge, unfortunately, and we will discuss that right on here. So in terms of storm surge, some of the areas and portions of northern Caraga, including the Dinagat Islands, are expected to see more than 3 meters of storm surge. Portions of southern eastern Samar and southern Samar, as well as eastern Leyte, is expected to also see more than 3 meters of storm surge. Areas that could see 2 to 3 meters of storm surge is going to include the rest of eastern Samar and a large portion of northern Samar. Portions of eastern southern Leyte is in that 2 to 3 meter category, and as well as portions of northern Caraga. There is a large corridor of 1 to 3 meters, or 1 to 2 meters of storm surge, for portions of the Bicol region, the Mindoro, Romblon, and also western Visayas, Mimaropa, Negros Island region, and northern portions of northern Mindanao, all in that 1 to 2 meter category. Does also include the rest of eastern Visayas. Just started to rain here in Bicol. Yeah, that makes sense. Again, it's the death band, as we call it, that's rolling through portions of the Philippines there. So we can see it starting to impact portions of the Bicol region as well. You aren't going to see the worst impacts from this system, fortunately. It looks like around, I believe, marginal to slight impacts. Looks like slight impacts for you in the Bicol region. But we're mainly most concerned about wherever this system's center moves through. Looks like it's going to be rolling through Leyte. So it does include areas of Tacloban, Cebu City, those regions. Can you discuss the 24-hour rainfall outlook? Sure. Let's see, gotta pull up where that is. Whoops, okay. Okay, hold on. Apparently there's a new Joint Typhoon Warning Center forecast cone. I have not seen that just yet. They said they're no longer expecting a major. I believe they're talking about portions of Vietnam there for that. Maybe they were never forecasting a major for portions of the Philippines, although I think that's pretty conservative. It's likely exceeding expectations right now. So in terms of the rainfall forecast, we can open that up from Pagasa. And we'll tell you all what they are expecting out of the system. But yes, it is a typhoon now. Alright. Sorry about that. Okay. Just trying to figure out where their rainfall forecast is on the system. Looks like it's been a couple hours since they released it. Ooh, okay, I found it now. So, rainfall for today. Okay, now I see the latest Joint Typhoon Warning Center forecast. Yeah, so they're no longer forecasting a major explicitly, but it is likely to happen before landfall in Vietnam here. Just out of that a 3-day forecast cone. Let's see, it's 80 miles an hour right now, forecasting a Category 2 landfall, at least in portions of the Philippines, and then rolls through the rest of the Philippines as a Category 1, re-intensifies in between Western Visayas and Mimaropa, becomes a Category 2 before slamming into Vietnam, potentially as a Category 3 strength system. So let's discuss the rainfall forecast here. Let's see if this works. Yes, so portions of eastern Samar are expected to see 200 plus millimeters of rain through today. And let's see, that's that. And then let me make sure I'm getting everything else here. Alright, so let's discuss the 3-day rainfall forecast across the Philippines. So for today, areas of up to 200 millimeters of rain are expected to fall in portions of eastern Samar and Dinagat Islands, and with a corridor of 100 to 200 millimeters of rain falling for portions of northern Samar, and the rest of eastern Visayas and portions of northern Caraga there. Areas expected to see 50 to 100 millimeters of rain does include Aurora, Quezon, and portions of the Bicol region, as well as central Visayas, is expected to see 50 to 100 millimeters of rain fall today. Looking at tomorrow's rainfall forecast, this is additional rainfall. It is expected to rain in over 200 millimeters of rain across Cebu, Negros Occidental, I believe. I don't know. That may mean west in Spanish. I'm not quite sure, though. And it does include Western Visayas. The entirety of Western Visayas is expected to see above 200 millimeters of rainfall tomorrow. A corridor of 100 to 200 millimeters of rain does include portions of Samar there, the southern two-thirds of Samar, Masbate, sorry, I forgot about that, Leyte, as well as portions of, again, central Visayas, the Negros Island region, and portions of northern Caraga. There is a larger area of 50 to 100 millimeters of rain, which does include northern Caraga, northern Mindanao, as well as portions of the entirety of Mimaropa and Mindoro. The Bicol region as well gets some rainfall, and portions of Cagayan Valley gets rainfall there, and portions of central Luzon, 50 to 100 millimeters of rain. Looking towards Wednesday's impacts, this is November 5th, an additional 100 to 200 millimeters of rain is included in Palawan and Mindoro, with an area of 50 to 100 millimeters of rain happening in western Visayas, the western Negros Island region, and portions of the southern and western Bicol region, and Calabarzon and Aurora there, in that 50 to 100 millimeter range. So that is a look at the rainfall forecast for the system. Will there be another storm? Yes, there will be another potentially significant storm impacting portions of the Philippines. It's a little bit far out to determine where that's going to go, but this is a look at the next 7 days. Where's it expected to be 7 days from now? Really, anywhere from portions of Manila all the way out in the Philippine Sea. So really, it's a little bit uncertain, but the consensus does have it moving uncomfortably close to the Philippines as a powerful Category 4 over the next 7 days. A lot of these members do peak out as a Category 5, above, let's say it's above a fifth chance, so above a 20% chance that this does become a Category 5. It's a little bit uncertain. Again, we're not quite sure as to where this is going to go, but we do believe it will be moving towards the west. But when does it make a northward turn, if it even does that, is going to be the question. And then will it be moving out to sea, or will it be slamming into the Philippines? A lot of these members do have it rolling right through the Philippines here. A lot of these members, around half of them, I'd say, have it slamming into the Philippines as a major typhoon. So this is going to be something that you will need to be watching in portions of northern Luzon. Michael, I will be mentioning the release dates on YouTube when I finally, on Discord when I finally start getting that ready to go. Wind in Dinagat Island is a little bit uncertain, but they could be getting a major typhoon, force winds. How much rainfall in the Negros Islands? We can discuss that again. Negros Islands here are expected to not really see anything today. Tomorrow they are expected to see potentially over 200 millimeters of rain. Then the next day potentially an additional 50 millimeters of rain. So really above 250 millimeters of rain is going to be possible for the Negros Islands. When will you animate Cullen 2027? Someone would probably have to pay me to do that. If there's a Patreon fan, again, if you have Patreon, you can support me there, and you can request an animation then through the Discord. Ooh, 4.71 thousand subscribers. Thank you all so much. Why did 99W invest dissipate in Guam? Well, they were kind of two systems. There are two areas of low pressure there. They kind of marked the wrong one. It eventually did move to the... Whoops, why is it? Okay, there we go. The main disturbance then became a much larger area of low pressure to the southeast of Guam there. So they kind of are combining, really, but the Joint Typhoon Warning Center decided to mark it as Invest 90W now, this other area. How fast is Kalmaegi? Let's discuss how fast it's moved over the last 2 hours here. Would say it centers over here. It's been moving around, let me go back an hour as well. In terms of how fast it's been moving, it looks like it's been moving around at 25 kilometers an hour, is what I would say. Alright, see. How much rainfall in Palawan? Palawan, according to the Pagasa, they are expecting 50 to 100 millimeters of rainfall tomorrow, with an additional 100 to 200 millimeters of rainfall on Wednesday. So really anywhere from, I'd say, 150 to 300 millimeters of rain are going to be possible in Palawan. Michael says, when will call in track animation? I am Patreon. If you follow me, or if you support me on Patreon, I believe it's the $5 a month subscription. Then you can reach out to me on Discord and ask me for what kind of animation you'd like me to do. Question: will you do a live landfall coverage for Tino tonight or tomorrow morning? Well, the problem with this is I have college tomorrow. So determining when it's going to be making landfall here, just checking it on my local time, 9:50 a.m. my time there is when it makes landfall. I am going to be in right before class at that time, looks like. Do I want to do a landfall live stream or not? It's a little bit uncertain, because if it doesn't make landfall there, then I'm not quite sure. If there was a lot more people watching this stream, then I probably would have done a live landfall coverage on it. and it is speeding up a little bit. I will be making more posts on Instagram, or sorry, not just Instagram, but X, those areas. Oh, Michael, then reach out to me on Discord if you can. Please send me a message that you're my Patreon member. And thank you, Typhoon Lover. I have a quiz tomorrow in calculus, so I'm pretty sure I'm prepared for that. And then it will make another landfall at around 11 o'clock my time there. Then rolls through Cebu City at around 5 p.m. Let's see, probably going to be exiting class at that time, and then traffic. Man, okay, I'll do a video update tomorrow. Tomorrow morning for you all in the Philippines, so be prepared for that. Not going to really be doing live landfall coverage. There's way too many landfalls to be covering, really. But I will be doing, let's see, hopefully this doesn't rapidly intensify too much before making landfall. I'm really hoping the system stays on the weaker side. Thank you, Typhoon Lover. We're in Discord. If you send me a message in DMs, just send me a message in DMs. Will that next storm be a typhoon? Every single Google AI Ensemble member has this becoming a typhoon, so I'd say it's safe to say this will become a typhoon. The environment looks conducive for that. We can pull it up on here, the European AI model. It is going to be co-located with an upper-level anticyclone there. A little bit on the western side at the end of that run. Does have a jet interaction if it speeds off towards the northeast. Needing to be watching the system over the coming days. Could become a real major threat to portions of the Philippines. Alright. Yeah, hoping that Tino does not rapidly intensify before it slams into the Philippines. See, okay, I'm trying to think about how I could do this. I may do a live landfall coverage tomorrow. I am going to wake up at around 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. for you all, for your time zone in the Philippines, Philippine Standard Time. If it looks like it's going to be slamming as a Category 4 potentially, I will be doing a live landfall coverage as it slams into Dinagat Island. If not, I'll probably just make a brief post about it on other social media platforms. How do I DM? If you click on my profile, Hurricane Chaser Chase, on the Discord server, you should see it at the top of the list as owner. You can just send me a message there. Is there a chance an Invest 90W will be a super typhoon? Yeah, this next system after Kalmaegi, or also known as Tino, could become a major or super typhoon. A lot of these members do have it becoming a Category 4, with around a fifth of them have it becoming a Category 5. I'd say there's around a 30% chance that this becomes a super typhoon. The environment is conducive for it. We'll just need to be watching over it over the coming days. Richie, I'm not quite sure about a Category 3. Again, it all depends. I do have plans tomorrow. We'll see, though. I am on micro live in 12 hours north of Bohol, just across Cebu City. Nice. Stay safe, okay? Alright, well, that seems to about do it for this live update. Thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, as I will be posting more updates on this system over the coming days. I find it interesting, though, how the live stream, this last live stream I did, I think it only got around 500 views or so, but then the thing after that, like, I was fine with that, but then it blew up for some reason, got like 3.5 thousand views after the fact, so I'm not quite sure how that worked. Got to learn more about how this algorithm works. I was not expecting to get more views after the thing goes live. Oh no, Michael, if you send me a message, you should see me on a list. Yes, or just in one of those channel onboarding things, you can just send a message saying hi or something, and then I'll send you a direct message. I'm sorry, I did not realize you aren't verified just yet. Yeah, Michael, if you send a message in channel onboarding, I'll send you a direct message after that. Because if you didn't know, you could become a Patreon member and I can animate whatever storm you'd like, even if it's hypothetical. You can make up your own storm, and I can animate that. Oh, Andrew, can you send a message in the verification channel letting me know that you came from the live stream? Okay. I'm sorry, some of these accounts I think are bots. Okay, Michael, I saw your message. Just some of the accounts I sometimes think are bots. Yes, 21,000 views on that one stream was insane. Thank you guys so much for that. But yeah, Andrew, if you want to be verified, just type in the fact that you came from the live stream. Yep, Typhoon Lover. But when you turn over 13, then you can join when you reach 13. All right, Michael, I will send you a message after the stream, okay? So, briefly discussing it again, it is expected to roll through the Philippines as a major typhoon, Category 3, maybe even Category 4 or 5. It's a little bit uncertain. It's running out of time, fortunately. But by the time it enters the South China Sea, it is expected to re-intensify again to a possibly Category 2 or 3 strength system. Major impacts are expected for the eastern Visayas region in northern Caraga, with the possibility of it rolling through the Philippines, the central Visayas and western Visayas, Negros Island region in Mimaropa, and then also again in the portions of Vietnam and far southeastern Laos. Right, well, thank you all so much for watching. And again, if you haven't already, follow me on one of these other social media platforms. If you want to see updates on my life and animations, you can follow me at Hurricane Chaser Chase on Instagram. If you want to see updates the quickest, you can follow me on X and at Hurricane_Chase. If you prefer Facebook or Blue Sky, you can follow me there at Cyclone Tracking. If you use Discord, consider joining the Discord server. That's where we discuss things like reanalysis on tropical cyclones, trying to figure out their peaks for my animation. Discord.gg/ChasesStorm. Well, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next update, which will be tomorrow. We'll discuss more on 90W and at Kalmaegi, also known as Tino, tomorrow. So see you all tomorrow morning. All right, see you in the next update. Stay